All right, today we're doing rounding on a number line for MBT3. All right, to round the number 3,278 to the nearest thousand, we just need to find the thousand that this number 3,278 is between. So we look at the 3, and we know that that 3 is this 3,000, and this number here is between this 3 and one more than that in the thousands place. So we have the 3,000s and the 4,000s. So if I just make it look like this, so some people like to see the place value chart as a rounding hill, which you can do, but let's see if we can do this flat. So what we're going to do is, we know this digit right here is a 3. So what I'm going to do is put a 3 on here. And then all the other digits are going to become a 0. And then I'm going to see this digit here, and I'm going to do 1 up from that digit, and then make all the rest of the digits 0. Okay. Now I have to find the halfway point between 3,000 and 4,000. And all I do is I know that the digit right over from the one we're looking at is going to become a 5. So I'm going to write 3, then I'm going to change that 0 to a 5, and I have 3,500. And that probably makes sense to you. Halfway between 3,000 and 4,000, 3,500. Now what we need to do is find out where this number would be located on our number line. And if I did that, this is 3,500, it looks like this would be right here, and I'm going to place that with a car. It would be about right here. Now if you wanted to use the rounding hill on this one, you could just in your mind imagine that this number line goes up there, and then you would know if this car was about right here, it would fall backwards to 3,000. So because of that, 3,278 rounded to the nearest thousand would be 3,000. Okay. Now, if I even had it like this, now that's what people do on the number line. So if I had my number line and I put, okay, this is 3,000. I know over here would be 4,000. Halfway in between, be about right here, would be 3,500. And then this number here would maybe be 1, 2, it would probably be right about here. And I notice it's closer to the 3,000, so it would round to this number. Because see, the distance between here and here is much shorter than the distance between here and here. Okay? All right. Next problem, and we'll do it both ways each time. All right, so let's say now we're doing round 3,500 to the nearest thousand. So what I'm going to do is underline. I'm doing the thousands place, so I want to underline that 3 because that's in the thousands place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that number on my card here, and I know this one will be the smallest because I'm just taking that number, and each other digit is going to become a 0. And now I'm going to do one more than that digit that I've underlined, which would be 4. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is write that 3. I always go back to the first one, write that 3, and then the digit right next to the 3 is going to be a 5, and all the other digits are going to remain 0. Okay. Now, it's a little hard to see on this number line, but if I push this up right here, and I had my car at 3,500, this is the tip right here, and normally the convention just says that if he's at the 3,500, the exact halfway point, he's going to fall down the hill to the 4,000. Okay, it's find your place, look next door. If this is 5 or greater, he's going to go down the hill. Okay, now let me do that on the number line itself. So remember, I would find the 3 and I would put 3,000 because all the other digits will become 0. Then I do one more than that digit, so it's a 4, and then I add the 3 zeros. Then I go to the halfway point and I keep the 3, but the next digit right here is going to become a 5, and all the rest remain 0. Now, if this is right here, whenever we find your place, look next door, if it's 5 or greater, see how that's 5 or greater? It's going to go, it always falls forward, okay? So it's going to go over here. Even though they're equal distance, they decided if it was at this halfway point, it would fall forward. Okay, so the answer is 4,000. All right, next problem. Okay, they're progressively supposed to be getting harder. All right, let me erase this. Okay, so this number says round 138,426 to the nearest thousand. Again, we have to find the number in the thousands place, which it says here we need to do. So that would be the 8. So again, all we're going to do here is we're going to write the number. So this is, we're going to write this ones digit because it's before the 8, the 3, and then we're going to write the 8 because that's the underlined digit, and all the remaining digits are going to become a 0. So the 4 is going to become a 0, the 2 is going to become a 0, the 6 is going to become a 0. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to write 1, we're going to write 3, but we're going to have one number more than the 8, which would be a 9. And then all the other digits become a 0. So the 4 becomes a 0, the 2 becomes a 0, and the 6 becomes a 0. Now we're going to do this middle, our halfway point. So we're going to write 1, 3, 8. So we're going to write all the digits other than 0. And then we know the digit right after the 8 or the thousands place is going to become a 5. And then the other 2 digits will become 0. Now we have it. Okay. Now it says round 138,426 to the nearest thousand. So I'm going to find that place on here. So if it was here, it looks like, and if I had my rounding hill, it would be around really close to here, right? So because he's not here, he'd fall backwards again to 138,000. So if I was going to draw that again, I would write, I know I'd write this number, 1, 3, and then the underlined digit is 8. And then all the digits after the underlined digit become a 0. So the 4 becomes a 0, the 2 becomes a 0, the 6 becomes a 0. Okay, now I go to the far end of my number line and I write the 1, the 3, but the underlined digit now is going to become 1 more than that, so 1 more than 8 is 9. And all the remaining digits become a 0. So the 4 becomes a 0, the 2 becomes a 0, and the 6 becomes a 0. Now, to find the halfway point, I always go back to my original number. So I have 1, 3, 8. And then I know for the middle number, it always has a 5 in it. So the number right after the 8, I know is going to become a 5, and the other 2 digits are going to remain zeros. Now I have this on here. Now I need to find that number on the place value chart. That's going to be so close to this one. It's going to be about right here. And you can see from this that this dot is closer to this 1,000 than this one. Okay, so this is your answer again. All right, next problem. All right, it says round 138,426. Hey, that's the same number, but to the nearest 10,000. So it's a different digit. So the 10,000 here, that digit would be right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my little rounding hill one. I'm going to write the ones digit. Then I'm going to write the 3 because that's the underlined digit. And then all the other digits are going to become zeros. So the 8 becomes a 0. The 4 becomes a 0. The 2 becomes a 0. And the 6 becomes a 0. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write the 1, but this is going to be between. So this one has to be 1 more than that. 3, so I'm going to put a 4. And all the other digits become a 0. So the 8 becomes a 0. The 4 becomes a 0. The 2 becomes a 0. The 6 becomes a 0. Now I have to do the halfway point. So I know I go back to this number here. I write the 1. I write the 3, which is the underlined digit. And I know the next digit is become a 5 because we know the middle number always has a 5 in it. And then the rest of the digits remain 0. Okay. And now if I wanted to make my rounding hill, I could move this up if that helps you. And I'd have to try to find this number on here. Okay, so it says that's 138,000, so that would be over here. So if I was rounding to the nearest 10,000, this would actually slide down, sorry, and go to this number here. Okay, so let's do it without rounding hill. So I have this number here. I'm going to write the beginning number so this number stays the same. So I write 1, I write the 3, and all the rest of the digits become a 0. Then I go to the far end. So I'm going to write the 1, and this is going to go up 1 digit or 1 number. And all the rest are going to become zeros. All the other digits can become zeros. 1. Okay. And now I have to do the halfway point. Got to do this kind of good. All right. So remember, I go back to this number and I just write 1, 3. 3 is the underlined digit. So the next digit will become a 5 because I know the halfway point always has a 5 in it. And all the remaining digits become a 0. Now I have to place this on the place value chart. So this would be at 135, 36, 37, 38, 39, 135. It would kind of be about right here on my number line. And if I look at that, this dot is much closer to this side. Okay, so it rounds to this number right here. All right, that's it. I hope that helps. Bye.